Let us make Mr. Big's meat pie. So if you've tasted Mr. Big's meat pie, there's this particular flavor that meat pie has that is like a signature flavor. So I'm going to teach you how you're going to get that, okay? So in your meat, you add your salt, your Maggi, the curry, a very spicy curry, okay? Add your onions, all right? And that's about the flavor that you need for this. Then you add your water to cook your meat. Okay. I want to tell you that I made a mistake by grinding my meat because this was just what I wanted to do for my family. So the best thing that you should do is to cook your meat separately. Separate, like you divide the quantity of meats that you're going to cook and the quantity of meat that you're going to ground for the meat pie filling. You divide the two of them. Okay, so you bring this one out and the other one back out. But because this was just the only one that I had at home at the moment, so I had to cook the grounded meat. Okay, so now that I've cooked it, it's boiling already, so I had to scrape out the back of my Irish potato, and that's what I'm doing right now. And I had to go check out, my meat stock, and it was perfect and ready for me to sieve out a little bit of meat stock that I'm going to use in making my dough. That's what I just did. So, like I said, that I'm reviewing it. Like I said, that you can, bring out, divide your meat, cook one and ground the other one. But I made a mistake by grounding all of them because this was just what I wanted to do for my family, and I said that I was going to record it. Okay. So when after I brought out the stock that I'm going to use to get the dough, and this is the Irish potato that I scraped the bag out, and I started cutting them into long strips. And I'm also going to cut the carrots into long strips, then cut them into cubes. Okay. So voila, I had to mix them all up together. Then I start adding it to my meat stock. You can see that. So I'm adding it to this meat. After adding it, because I've removed some part of the meat stock, I'll still spice it up a little bit so that the spices can get into the Irish potato and the carrots, and the meat filling is also going to be very, very delicious and tasty. So add a little bit of stock, Maggi cube, onions, and curry powder. Then, okay, and then I added the water that I mixed with my cornstarch and covered the pot for it to simmer for a little while and to, cream up. So in another bowl, where this is where I'm mixing my dough. So I'm using 2 cups of flour here, okay? So after mixing 2 cups of flour, I added sugar. You can decide to leave the sugar, okay? You can decide to leave that one. You can decide to add milk, but I did not add milk to this because the meat stock is going to infuse into this flour, okay? So this is the oil. I didn't use butter. Like I said, there you can use oil in getting that crispy, crunchy, meat pie, probably the edges and all that. Okay. So I used oil in, mixing the flour like this until you get to this particular, consistency where it, where it has to be like, draping, like chili and all that, like it is right now. So I started adding my meat stock to use to bind them together to become a dough. That's just what I'm doing right now. Don't add up the meat stock all together because you don't want this thing to be very light. You want it to come together, okay? Because you already know that this is not a butter, this is oil, okay? This is oil and not a butter, so you should just be very careful because so it doesn't like, become so light and so soft, okay? So I got to this particular consistency that I needed for this. I had to use my cling film to cover it up. So I checked my fillings, and I put in the remaining stock that I didn't finish while I was trying to make my dough into the pot. Okay, then covered it up. And this was me, covering the dough with a cling film. Then the next thing that I did was to pop it into the fridge for it to, firm up. So I checked on my meat filling, the meat pie filling, and it was done. I turned this very well, and I saw that it was perfectly done. That I brought it out from the fire and I kept it aside to cool down. Okay. So this was like 30 minutes later. I brought out this, the molded dough, okay, that I'm going to use for the meat pie back, all right, from the fridge. So I brought it out. I kind of like, touched it up with my palms so that it loosens up a bit. Then this was while I was cutting it into, in more quarters and the sizes that I wanted. Okay, so you can use a scale. Like if you're into sales, you can use a scale to make sure that all of them are of the same quantity, all of them are of the same size. Okay, so but because it was something that I was doing for my family, there was no need for me to use the scale. I'm just telling you how I made this meat pie, and that's all. So I had to like, be doing this, like using my roller to roll it. After rolling it, I put it in the meat pie cutter in the meat pie shape. Okay, then put in my fillings, and that was it. So please, when you're spicing your meat, the particular one that you want to take the stock out from, make sure that you spice it up very well. Okay, so the spices is what is going to give the taste to this meat pie skin. Okay, so that's just it. So I popped it into the oven, and for like 10 minutes I brought it out, used my egg wash to brush on top of it so that it can give it that yellowish, beautiful look. All right. So after using the egg wash to wash the skin of the meat pie, I put it back into the oven and I let it sit for another 20 minutes, or you can just be there watching it while it gets done. Okay. So this was the final look of the meat pie. Look at it. Look at how beautiful. Okay. So this is the meat pie. And if you eat this meat pie, it was very delicious and very, I'm telling you, you need to try this. Look at the side of the meat pie. Look at it, so beautiful. I'm gonna see you in my next video. Is it a girl or my range? Bye.